He actually thinks I brought all of our current guests with me when I came, but I don't know if I did or not. But then he used to work away like during the week. Before, this is pre-COVID, so he left, and I'm sitting outside with the dogs by myself, and that smell came back at me, and I was like, why can't you just leave me alone? And the smell went away as fast as it came. I'll never forget it. And I went in the house. I called my husband. I was crying. I was like, I wanted to get chickens, but the chicken coop was down by the woods that I don't like. And I was like, we have to move the chicken coop. Like, I'm hysterical. And he's like, what is wrong? And I'm like, that smell outside is, it's, again, I'm not into cryptids at this time. So I was like, that's got to be something demonic. It's something not good, and I don't want to be down there. I don't want the chickens down there. Like, I don't want anything to do with anything that's near those woods. And he was like, well, I can't move it. Like, we need a large tractor to pick that thing up and move it. And I was like, tie it to the bumper of the truck, drag it through the yard. Like, he's like, we'll tear up all the grass. I'm like, I don't care. Like, just move the damn chicken coop. Well, it never got moved. But, a few months later, we got married in Ireland in June of 2019. And it was a few months before we were getting married. And he was away for work. And our neighbor has a sister that reads tarot cards. And she's kind of a psychic medium. And they invited me to come up there because I was home by myself. It was like, just come up, we're just sitting here. And so I went up, and she was reading my tarot cards, and their screen door looked out over our yard. And the tarot card reader stopped what she was doing, and she said, you need to go sit by that tree behind the chicken coop. And I was like, no, I'm not going down there. She's like, no, I'm serious. You need to go down there. You need to sit. You need to clear your mind and just let whatever this is talk to you. And I was like, no, there is no way in hell I'm going down in them creepy woods and sitting by this damn tree. So a few weeks go by. Mike's home on the weekend, and I was outside doing stuff, and I kept that feeling like you were being watched. And it kind of pissed me off. So I stopped what I was doing. I marched down to the freaking wood line next to this damn tree. And I was like, all right, I'm here. What is it that you got to say? Like, just full of attitude. And I couldn't walk. I could barely walk back to the house. Like, every ounce of my energy was drained. I felt sick to my stomach. It was like 4:00 in the afternoon. And I said to my husband was home, and he's like, do you want to watch a movie with me? And I'm like, no, I'm going to bed. And it took like 3 days to recover for that. So I was like, what the hell is in those woods that like stripped every ounce of my energy? But right after COVID started, we had a team of investigators come here. And the psychic came with the investigator during the initial visit, where to show them where things are happening. And we took them outside, and I told them this story about the tarot card reader and something wanting to talk to me. And she agreed with her that there was something was there. And I was like, this is insane. Like, I don't know what spirits are in the woods, but I'm like, that, are they good? Are they bad? Like, can they go away? I don't know what is out there. And she confirmed actually, I knew I had one entity in the house. She confirmed that there's 4 entities in the house. One of which I knew was a woman. I always sensed that the one touching me or sitting on the edge of our bed was a woman. I actually think it's my grandmother. We were super close when I was younger. And I always got the feeling like that she was like protecting me. And so she said that there's a man here, and the other 2 entities, she couldn't make out what they were. They were like running room to room to get away from her. And it was kind of a weird There's a woman that's in our garage. She has actually pushed me down the stairs 3 times where I've had to go to the emergency room. That's why my office is now inside the house. I go into the garage upstairs in my studio very little anymore because I have to be very careful when you're walking down the stairs. For whatever reason, she likes to push me down the stairs. I'm not sure what I've done to her, but she's not super friendly. I mean, she doesn't seem to do anything to anybody else. It just seems to be me. So maybe she's got some kind of issue with me personally. But we they came to the house to do this investigation. They brought this whole team of people. They had like drones, thermal drones, because they wanted to make sure that we didn't have somebody in the woods,
Right.
Hoaxing anything. And we're sitting on the couch in the living room, and the psychic is sitting right across from me. I felt this gush of warm air or cold air come over top of me, sitting on the couch. And I was like, I feel that. Do you feel that air? Because there was a girl sitting on the other end of the couch, and she said, yeah, I feel that air too. We had no ceiling fans on. It's no air conditioning is going on. It was like September at this point when they came back with the whole team. And she said it's a German speaking man. He was speaking German to her. And I was like, I don't know any German speaking people. And we think that my husband's got this fascination with World War II items and thinks that it's something came home with him on a little matchbook that we have that has the Nazi cross on it. It's actually still has the original matches still in it. So it's possible, I guess. But it's, we have all kinds of things happen here. We have things that go missing. I'll get up in the morning to brush my hair, and my hairbrush won't be in the bathroom. I'll find it on the kitchen counter. And I'm like, I'm sure as hell not brushing my hair in the kitchen. That's just not something I would do. So it just weird little things. When I have a really bad day at work, I come home and sometimes I get like this cold hand on my shoulder, almost like it'll be okay. Just, I've saged a couple of times because, sometimes we get to where we're kind of fighting each other, like my husband and I, and I'll be like, I don't know, we need to get rid of this negativity in the house. And I always say, if you're good, you can stay. If you're bad, you need to go. So I saw somebody said I would be saging them right out the front door.
Yeah.
They seem to stay. It turns out that there are 2 women, a man and a small child. And the small child, I think I brought him home from a call. I didn't even know the specific call. I think he came home with me from that. So
yeah, that wouldn't be. I wouldn't be comfortable with that at all.
Initially, I was not. Like, my mother-in-law is pretty sensitive, and they got COVID. They were both in the hospital. And when they came out, we had them come stay with us because they live in a 3-story house. And I'm like, they're not doing stairs. So they came to stay with us. And she came out one morning and she's like, I have to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. And we had not told them anything about the ghosts in the house. We didn't mention it at all. And she comes out and she goes, I got up to go to the bathroom and there was a woman sitting on the edge of my bed. And I was like, because that's happened to me on several occasions. And she said, when I looked down at the end of the bed, there was a man and a woman standing there. And I was like, okay. And she said, a little boy came out of the closet and walked into the hallway and just disappeared. And I was like, okay, well, that's the 4th one, because I didn't know what the 3rd and the 4th one was. Right. I do now, but she would say, she would get up in the morning and she'd be like, were you talking at 2:30 in the morning? And I was like, I assure you, I was sleeping at 2:30 in the morning. She had said she would hear people talking. So I didn't even tell my husband. I set a voice recorder in the hallway on a picture frame up on the wall and didn't say anything to anyone. And we went to bed. And it was a few weeks later, I think, when I actually listened to it. And at 2:30 in the morning, there was clearly a woman's voice that said, "Watch them."
Huh. Yeah,
And
that's
I freaked right out. I called
yeah.
my husband. I said, "You get down here right now. You have got to hear this." Like, it was insane. And it was crazy. My mother-in-law was hearing people talk at 2:30 in the morning. Oh, it was not me. Not me at all.
Yeah, that would be unnerving for sure. As soon as you said that, I got a chill right at the back of my back area.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It is absolutely crazy there.
So now you've had all these experiences, as a kid,
Yeah,
also, because I didn't know about the shadow or the hat man. Was it a shadow person, what they call the hat man? Because I know
yeah,
that's a phenomenon with,
yeah.
I didn't know that. I mean, I never heard you talk about that because that's what got me started
Oh,
into doing
really?
stuff. Was a shadow person when I was around 8 years old. But now, after you've had these experiences in your home and you had investigators, did did you go further into it? Did you start to investigate like the
Oh
paranormal?
my gosh, I did. I bought all kinds of equipment. I built an SLS camera off
Hmm.
of instructions on YouTube.
Right.
And like, I'm ordering all these parts and they come, and I built this SLS camera. It works actually pretty good. Oh my gosh, I bought, you know, video cameras and GoPros, and like, I just went on a binge where I bought all of this stuff. I still won't tell my husband how much money I spent. Little secret. And we started going to places and investigating. I at one point joined a group called Ghost Hunts USA. I'm sure
Hmm.
people have heard about them. They're
Yeah.
no longer in business. But oh my gosh, I spent several nights out at Crescent Sanatorium, and that is my favorite place in the entire world to go. It never disappoints. And I think they're actually going to tear it down. There's a legal dispute over it right now, unfortunately. But would hate to see it get torn down because it's an amazing place, so active, such an active place. I'll never forget the night I was there with Angel Miguel, and we were both employed there, and we had a group of people in the end of life building, is what we called it, where they took people who are hospice.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I had bought all these cat balls and these REM pods, and we had all this stuff lined up in the middle of the hallway and had everybody like in a doorway. And you could hear things upstairs, like coming, sounded like almost it was coming down the stairs. You're like watching, and these cat balls and these REM pods just went ballistic,
Hmm.
like all of them. It was insane. And we were all excited. Everybody's having a great time. It's like I mean, we could not get things to stop touching the equipment. Things are just going crazy. So we switched groups because we had a pretty large group that night, several hundred people, I think we had. We take the second group in the building, and not a damn thing happened.
Hmm.
It was crickets, like completely silent. We were like, well, that didn't happen the first time we were in here. It was insane. Insane. I absolutely love that place. I don't know what'll happen with the spirits when they tear everything
Yeah.
down. I don't know if they stay there. Do they go somewhere else? I don't know what happens, but
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure either. I mean, because I used to investigate a residence that's right up the road here, and there was a lot of activity. Well, that it. Well, I'll just go into it. Just, I mean, I don't want to take your thunder
no, no, no.
really,
Go ahead.
but we investigated this house several times. Me, my son, and a couple other people was in our little group, and there was some other friends that had done it with their group. But we were the last ones there, um, and we caught a really interesting. It was actually a spirit box uh,
Oh wow.
record, or it come across the spirit box, and it said light a stove, and it was. I mean, you can hear it like clear as a bell. And doing this when you got the spirit box going, or got what it was the hack shack back then, the little
Yeah.
radio. When they scan, you'll hear that blip blip blip, word,
Mhm.
and that's radio stations. But
Right.
when you have something that comes across, you go, light a stove, that shouldn't happen. That
No.
you should not get a full. It wasn't like you said light. Then a little while later, you know, it come across all at one time, light a stove.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I was like, well, that's really cool. You know, we didn't know what it meant. Had no idea why that was, what the context of it was at all. Well, the following weekend, I'm sitting in Ironton, Ohio, because at the time that's when I was driving truck on the road, and it's real early in the morning, and I'm getting ready to get loaded, and my brother calls me, and he's like, hey, he said, you won't be investigating the Blackshear farmhouse, or we always called it the mansion, the Blackshear mansion anymore. I'm like, why is that? You know, thinking somebody said something, you know, because we had permission from the owners and everything.
Right.
He said, and I was like, why is that? And he said, well, it's burning to the ground. It's on fire. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. He said, it's on fire. He said, it's, you know, it's burning down. So I was like, really? And I told him, I said, the last EVP we caught there was light a stove. So the fire marshal actually knew that we were there, because he was a friend of my, his son was a friend to my son, and we knew each other through that. And he contacted me. He said, hey, he said, I heard you were at the Blackshear house before it burnt down. I'm like, yeah. So we were in doing an investigation. And he said, you mind if I come by and talk to you? And I was like, no, I don't, you know, I didn't have nothing to do with it.
Right.
He said, I know. He said, but if you have anything, any pictures and stuff like that, we'd like to see, you know, like if of doors or windows, and, you know, that we could tell if somebody might have broken in. And I'm like, yeah, sure, come look at anything. And so he took all my pictures and stuff, and then I let him listen to that, and he's like, well, I'm not a big believer in that. He said, that's weird.
That's weird, right?
And to this day, they've still not found out what, because there was no power in this house. The only thing there was gas. They had a couple little gas stoves, because nobody lived in the house.
Right.
So they kept the little gas stoves, you know, them little old type, that kept the house warm for the winter time and stuff like that. And the weird part is where the fire supposedly started was in the area that they called the library, and there was no gas stove in that part. But somehow a fire started inside this library and basically burnt pretty much most of it to the ground.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is. It's crazy. And
have you ever gone back to the location to see if you get anything?
That was what I was going to get to. I would like to. I've always wanted to, but since that happened, the owners really haven't said that we couldn't, but right. They did once the house was tore down, or the rest of it was demolished. They did put up no trespassing and posted, and I just never approached them, because, you know, kind of a sensitive subject. You know, hey, we know that you lost this, because it was a historical landmark for the area. The little area it's in is named Blackshear. The school beside it is Blackshear Elementary. Right. You know, because of that family, that prominent family. But yeah, I've just never went back to them and talked to them about it.
I hate to hear those kind of stories.
Yeah.
The place burns down. They're fighting Crescent because they want it. I mean, it started out as a tuberculosis place. Then it moved into an orphanage. They had an orphanage on site, because a lot of the people that had tuberculosis and died had children. So these children ended up getting moved there. But then ultimately it turned into a prison. But they're trying to fight to keep this place from being torn down. But
yeah,
I don't know how much that's going to go over. But
yeah, I hate seeing the buildings go like that.
I know.
We have one here. I think it's outside of Elkins, that people are like, it needs to be saved. It needs to be saved. And it eventually is going to be demolished. I guarantee you.
Right.
We had one, I'm trying to remember what county it was in. I think it was called the Lakin Boys Home, which is this magnificent brick building, and it's gone. They demolished it. I'm like, it's just, I hate seeing it. I mean,
it is sad.
Yeah. So, okay, we talked how you got into paranormal stuff. Now let's move into what I'm saying a few folks are wanting to hear. How did you get from, I mean, I've talked about how I got from paranormal to the Bigfoot, but how did you do it? How did you end up into this subject now?
How did I jump from paranormal to Bigfoot?
Right.
Yeah, what a day that was. I'll never forget it as long as I live. We were going away and we were driving. I mean, our road at the end here has got it's a T. So
Mhm.
we're going somewhere and we pull up to the stop sign. And I'm serious. I titled this the 30 seconds that changed my entire life because my life has not been the same since this day. I looked across at this cornfield across from us and I saw this. Oh my God, it had to have been 9 foot tall. The thing was huge and it was as broad as a barn and it was black from head to toe. And I'm watching it walk across the the cornfield. And I was like, at first I was like, oh, there's somebody out there. But I'm like, wait a minute, that that's not a person. Like it had no clothes on, it was completely black, and it was kind of walking away from me, like it was cutting across the cornfield. And as my husband's turning the corner, I'm like breaking my neck to like watch this thing. And I will tell you, I had my cell phone in my hand
Mhm.
because I was, doing the thing. I was scrolling and never dawned on me to take a picture of this damn thing. It just didn't even cross my mind. I've hunted in this area my entire life, and I have never seen anything that looked like this. This thing walked like you and I walk. It had a really large stride. It cleared this cornfield in seconds. And I know in my head I was like, is that a bear? Like, but bears have short legs. They don't
Mhm.
take that kind of a stride and they don't walk that I mean, I've never seen a bear walk that distance on its two legs. Not that fast. There's no way. And I was trying in my mind to, I mean, I'm not a quiet person. My husband will tell you my mouth is going all the time. I'm always talking. And I was quiet the entire day. I mean, I literally, as soon as I saw it, and I eliminated every animal I could eliminate because it just didn't fit anything. I started, looking up Bigfoot sightings in central Pennsylvania. And I honest to God thought we were going to find nothing. I thought, I mean, I wasn't drinking and I don't do drugs. So I'm like, something is like, I miss it. You know what I mean? Like I think I saw something that probably wasn't there. And I found a lot of reports and, oh, I know. Quiet as a mouse. You're such a liar. He knows me. I'm not quiet at all. But you know, at the end of the day, I'm still quiet. I'm still looking things up on my phone. And my husband is like, "What is wrong with you? You've been quiet all day." And I'm like, did you see that thing in the cornfield?" And he's like, "What thing?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, a naked woman could be walking down the street. My husband would totally miss it." And, and I said, "I think I saw a Bigfoot." And he's like, "You are out of your mind." I'm like, "No, I'm serious." Like I looked up, I found these reports from the night all the way back to like the 1970s.
Mhm.
And he's like, they were drunk coal miners because we live in a coal mining
Right.
area. There's a lot of abandoned mines out here. It just is not the thriving coal business that it used to be. And he was like, "No, you did not. That is not at all what you saw." And it didn't stop me. I kept digging. I mean, it is the 30 seconds that changed my entire life because I have been Bigfoot 365, just 24 hours a day ever since that day. Like I drive down the road, I'm like, I'm always looking. I'm, always wondering when I'm out in the woods, I'm always listening. Um, and I learned everything I could possibly learn. I watched podcasts, I watched shows on TV, I just researched people's encounters, their sightings, and just soaked it up. And then I decided for my birthday that year, I was going to go on a BFRO expedition, which my husband said I was insane for spending that kind of money to go camping in the woods. But I went and I learned a lot. And I didn't know a single person that was going to be there. And I made lifelong friends. from that expedition. So it was the best money I probably have ever spent. And I still research with some of those people today. I mean, several years later. And I've had some crazy experiences. And even in my own backyard, we have experiences that happen. I'm not going to say that they happen every day or even every week. They're kind of sporadic. And I think that's just because I don't think they migrate from here. I think they stay here year round. There's a lot of places they can hide, a lot of places they can use for shelter. And we are about 10, 15 minutes from Centralia, which has been on fire since 1960 something. And in the wintertime, you can drive out through there and see steam coming up out of the pocket. And I think he could potentially be living here year round and just, but we have crazy things that happen here at the house that it kind of scares my husband. And like, we'll be outside doing something, messing with the pool or whatever. And you'll hear this rock come through the trees, going through the leaves, and then it lands in between us. And he'll go, "Did you see that?" I'll go, "Uh-huh." And he'll go, "I'm going in the house." He goes, "Are you coming?" And I'm like, "No." If he wanted to hit me with the rock, he would hit me with the rock. Like, I truly believe that they find it hilarious if they do something. My husband takes off into the house. I think they find that funny. But we haven't had that happen yet this summer. Of course, I haven't been here that much this summer.
Yeah.
It's been all over the place.
Yes, you have. Hey, I got one question for you.
Sure.
You were talking about the psychic saying that something in the woods wants to talk to you. I know you're not into the connection between the paranormal and Bigfoot, really. Do you think maybe that's a possibility? That's what's wanted to see you or talk to you, or they were
Funny that you
that,
mentioned that, because I never connected the two of them until one day we were going somewhere, and my husband said to me, "Remember when that psychic told you that something wanted to talk to you in the woods?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What if it was Bigfoot?" And I went, "What?" Like, now I look back on some of the experiences that I had pre Bigfoot, and I wonder if that is not what was happening the entire time. Because Bigfoot was not on my radar then, so
right?
I didn't know. It's very possible that this entire time I have actually. My girlfriend Carrie used to come. She hasn't been here in probably a year and a half now because she moved away. But we would camp in the yard. And I would camp in my tent. I was by myself. She would be in her tent by herself. And we would set a voice recorder out to record all night long. And I'll never forget the one night. It was in the middle of the night. I heard a giggle. And I thought, "Oh, Carrie must be on the phone with her husband. They're probably, she's probably laughing at something he said." And I just rolled over and went back to sleep, not thinking anything. Well, when I got up at like 7 a.m, she was sitting by the fire already. And she was like, "Do you talk to your chickens?" And I was like, "Good morning to you too." That she just went straight to the point. And I was like, "I do." And she's like, "What do you say?" And I go, "Well, when I go out there, I'm like, 'Hey ladies, what's going on?' I'm feeding them or taking care of their stuff or whatever." And she's like, "I heard your voice come from the chicken coop at 6:30 in the morning. And I thought you were awake. I got up to come out and talk to you, and you were sound asleep inside your tent." And I was like, "Holy crap." But when I played back that audio recording, I got the giggle. And I was so freaked out, I never listened to the rest of it. And I mean, I have Audacity on my computer, and I used it to play, but I don't know enough about it. Like, I wanted to isolate that giggle and pull it out, but I'm afraid to erase the whole thing. So I just haven't done anything with it. It's still on the thing, and I don't.
Well, I used to mess with it. It's been a while since I messed with it. I used to do when I did EVP stuff. I didn't use it a lot to clean things up, because when you tried to, sometimes it would distort things and you'd hear different things. But I do know that you can, like when you have your waves and you got your projects or whatever,
Yeah.
you can duplicate it.
Right.
So you can actually work on one while the other one's still there, and you won't lose it. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's been a while, so I don't remember
Yeah.
how to do that. But
I'm
I
so
do.
afraid of screwing it up. I
Yeah,
just don't mess with it. It's on my computer. It's there. Like I was freaked out. I'm not going to lie. That freaked me out.
I got Danny here has a question, and I know why he's asking it because Danny's talked to me recently about an experience he had. But I want to see what if you have ever had an experience like this. He says, ever seen or experienced one in your dreams? He's meaning Bigfoot is what he's talking about.
I have not experienced a Bigfoot in my dreams, but I have had a weird dream happen just in the last year that has kind of got me looking into what that could possibly mean.
Danny just shared this with me yesterday,
Oh my
uh,
gosh,
and
yesterday.
I'm not going to go into it unless
Right,
he
right, right.
actually would want me to. But I'll just say he's been on location that just has activity, and
Yeah.
he had he had a dream that I'm not sure that he actually had a dream. I think he actually experienced something, and for some reason, he's
Oh
it's
wow.
coming across to him as a dream. Uh, but yeah, that's the reason he was asking.
Nice. No, not a Bigfoot experience. No,
Now I know you. I know. Okay, you said you haven't had a dream,
I did.
but Bigfoot, but you have had an experience sleeping, I guess you say, or getting before or after, whichever one it was, during your a sleep cycle. Um, can you
Uh-huh.
go into that? And that was pretty recent, right?
That was last September.
Okay.
Almost a year now. It's been since I was at Salt Fork. Well, since that happened at Salt Fork. I went to a group camp out.
Hmm.
Like I don't know why. I don't think of myself as anything in particularly special, but I was like the special guest that was there. And I slept in the back of my Bronco because it was just me. My husband couldn't go, so I went and I slept in the back of my Bronco Friday night. And Saturday morning, we got up to go out and find a place that we were going to investigate that night. And it was down a dirt road. And when we got back, uh, I got out of the car. I walked around to the back, and there was an 18-inch handprint on the back of my car. And I nearly freaked right out because everywhere on the car that I touched, like I was in and out of that tailgate, in and out of the side doors, there was no fingerprints
Hmm.
where I touched the car, but there was a perfect fingerprint on the back. But I would say it was just like the tips of the fingers,
Yeah.
like something just touched it and walked away. And I did lift them because I went full on, police detective and got out my Cricut transfer tape
Yeah. There you go.
and lifted these prints off the back of my car because I wanted to save them as they were. Like I considered just lifting it print by, hit finger by
Right.
finger, but then I wanted to make sure that I got the size of it. So I
Right.
lifted the entire print. But then the next night, that Saturday night, I'm sleeping in the back of my Bronco, and I had a power bank with a fan on because it's
Hmm.
September. It's still kind of warm. And the power bank, I must have used all the juice out of it, so it quit working, and it got a little warm in the car. I woke up, I looked at my phone, it said 4:20. I looked out the back door, the back window, and something was standing like right behind my car. And I would have had to have driven through it to park where I was parked because I was parked into the woods. And I panicked a little bit because I mean, I'm a big tough girl and I run into burning, burning situations all the time. And I was like, oh my God, oh, what the hell is that? Like there was just enough moonlight that you could make out like silhouettes of things. And oh my God, I panicked so bad. I was like, I don't even want to blink because if Bigfoot hears my eyes come together, like what is he gonna do? Is he gonna rip me out of smash my window, grab me by the ankle, rip me out of the car? So I thought, I'm just going to lay there and I'm going to listen and I want to hear if it walks away. And I never heard it walk away. But just a few minutes later, I looked back and it was gone. So in the morning, I was so freaked out that I didn't even put stuff in the car like nicely. I just threw the stuff in the car and I left.
Hmm.
And I was on my way home. I called my husband and I said, "You are not going to believe what happened last night." And he said, Did you talk to Bill?" Because I was with Bill Rigby, who was in the car
Hmm.
next to me, sleeping in his truck. And I said, "No, I didn't tell him." He goes, "You got to call him." So I called him. He put me on, he said, "I'll call you right back." And I was like, "I tell you this story and you're like, I'll call you right back? What's that?" Well, when he called me back, he said that Patty Frey, who was across from me sleeping in a tent, had gotten up at the same time and she saw it standing there. So she checked it with her thermal. She has like a thermal mononoc,
Hmm.
whatever you want to call it. It doesn't take pictures, unfortunately, because she scoped it with the thermal and there was a creature standing there. Again, detective mode kicks in, and I'm like, I get home and I'm like, I didn't see shoulders or head. I saw a midsection.
Right.
And then you think, well, my Bronco is 5.5 feet from the tires to the top, and I didn't see shoulders or head. So this thing had to have been 7.5 feet,
Hmm.
probably in estimation. So it was pretty wild. And everybody's like, "Weren't you scared? Why would you go back there?" And I'm like, "No, I'm going back. Like, I want to see if it happens again." Like,
Yeah.
right? I don't know what it is. I'm still gonna I'm still gonna sleep in the car and I'm gonna lock all my doors, but I'm gonna go back and see if it happens again because it was
Now,
awesome.
was this the same camp out where Bill had his experience, or was it different?
It was a different one, a
Okay.
different camp out. Yeah, I wished I would have seen what Bill saw because holy cow, that would have been, oh man, up close and personal like that. That would have been
Yeah.
scary as hell. That's what it would have
Absolutely.
been.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to see a Bigfoot, but you know, when you see a Bigfoot, you're like, oh my god, like it's a creature. You don't know what it's going to do. You don't know what it's thinking. You don't know if it's just as scared of you or as you are as it. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to do. They're unpredictable. So initially you're like, oh my god, and then you're like, oh shit, like
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen now. But it's pretty wild.
Yeah. They seem to be a very curious creature as well. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I did. I don't know if anybody's ever seen my program, the presentation that I have put together. One night, I know Old Bear has seen it because I showed it to him. It's a little unnerving to say the least. I was home alone one night, and I think this might have been back in 2022, December, I think it was. And it was, I don't know, 10:15 or so at night. I was getting ready to go to bed and I walked around to my side of the bed and I went to close the mini blind that was open. And I'll never forget the two glowing red eyes that were looking back at me from outside the window. And I had every light off inside the house. And I literally was like, where is that? What's making those red? To me, I was like, I got to find what's making the reflection in the window. Well, there wasn't anything. So I grabbed my handgun and a flashlight and I went outside. I walked from the back of the house around to the front where this window was, and there was nothing there. So I took a picture of the window and I stayed in one spot, but I kind of turned and I took like three more pictures and then went back to the window. And the second picture of the window was less than a minute apart from the first picture, and there was three muddy fingers
hmm.
across the screen. And that was not there when I went out there, and there was nothing there while I was taking the photo. So I can't explain, like, all I saw was two glowing red eyes. There was no body, just two eyes. And when I went outside, there was nothing there. But in the course of the minute that I was standing there, something left finger marks on my window screen.
Right.
I can't explain that. I've got nothing.
Well, you're talking about fingerprints and finger marks there. Let's go back to the fingerprints you pulled from your vehicle.
Yeah.
Were they prints left in dust, or were they what the alba vernex or whatever, that oily substance that people talk about, or left on windows and vehicles?
It would have been whatever it was on the car when we went down that dirt road, and the
Okay.
dust from the road then stuck to the oil and the fingerprints.
Okay.
You can actually see dermal ridges.
I don't know if I'd ever share you that I found prints on a vehicle mine one time.
No.
Okay. I didn't, because Belinda brought it up there. That's why I was asking you if it was dust or not. A few years ago, I was in an area where what happened is I stayed with a friend. Well, I met a friend there. He didn't stay. I stayed overnight, and nothing happened. I didn't have any experiences or anything. And I was on top of this ridge line, and I've done a bunch of stuff. Not a bunch of stuff, but I got out and listened and with thermal and everything. But I also took a rake with me, and I raked the soft soil
Hmm.
to, like, if anything would come around the vehicle, it leave prints in that soft soil.
Right.
Got up next morning. I didn't find anything. Nothing was there. So I was like, well, I'll just go down the road here where he was talking about there had been other reports and activity. And I shot up this little forest road, I guess is what it is, and there's a gate there. And I got out and I was doing my little YouTube thing, and I was trying to do the ending of the video and messed up a couple times, and the third time, then I started the third time. And I heard this knock, like a knocking noise. This is the only time I've really heard uh, what could have been what people call tree knocks. I've never experienced it really before, but this, in the video, it could be, yeah, it could be a woodpecker. It could have been, but it caught my attention,
Right.
and there was a weird cadence to it. It almost, and I didn't, and I heard this later on in a podcast. Somebody mentioned the same thing, but it sounded like it was Morse code, like knock knock, and
Mm.
not like quick, and I heard somebody say that then it dawned on me, yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like. Well, I was like, well, I'm gonna go check that out. I'm gonna go walk on up the fire road, and so I went back to my van. I opened the hatch on my van. I was behind my van.
Mm-hmm.
Opened the hatch, got my backpack out, got my walking sticks, put my gun on, and shut it. With the doo-doo, that little beeper thingy. Walked up the val or up the road to the ridge, looking to see if I could find anything, tracks or anything. There's a couple spots that were soft where the spring, and I didn't find anything.
Right.
But on the way up, at one point, I hear movement off to my left. Now I can see a decent distance, not a huge distance, but I can see. And I'm like, it just must be squirrel or something running. So I ignored it, and still to this day, it may have been. I don't know. I just
Right.
heard it. And in the video, you hear me say, I don't know what that was. So I went up and went up to the top of the ridge, and I just scouted around, and it comes into a point, and there's a big valley, and I'm at the top of there, and thought I heard something howl in the valley, like not very
Oh,
loud, but
wow.
but I couldn't tell what it was. So I turned around, went back, and was going down, get back in the van. Took my backpack off, walked alongside the van, went around the back of the van to open the hatch, went to hit it, and that's when I noticed the handprints on the back of my van.
Oh my gosh.
There was one, like if you're looking at the back of the hatch, there was one up on the top of the hatch, like over the edge. You could see
Mm-hmm.
the fingers and some of the fingers and the prints or the tips. Below it, about probably where this area is on your arm, looked like it had touched the window and left a streak that almost looks like hair had rubbed.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
and this is in the dust that was on the. I mean, this is in the fall.
Right.
This is on the dust that's from the gravel road. Below that, at the bottom of the window, there's a spot that looks like hair had touched. It was streaked, and then over where the windshield, the wiper on the hatch, the windshield wiper, whatever you want to call it, there was another print that just was the fingertips, and you could see print. You could actually see the
Yep.
fingerprint. So I'm not sure what made them, because I didn't find any tracks around,
Right.
but there was a little spring like running right beside my van. So to me, what it looked like, whatever made these prints on the back of my van was wet when it touched that dirt. For
Oh,
some reason, it was wet because
right.
it made a muddy smear.
Right.
Um, I like wanted to lift them, but I didn't have anything with me. It never dawned on me to have anything like that at the time to do that. So I was like, I'm gonna go home. I hurried up, tried to get home, and I was like 2 hours or almost 2 hours away from home. Sadly, on the way home, I hit a rainstorm,
Oh,
a freak rainstorm, and it washed the majority of it off. The dust. It didn't, because there was
oh
no
my God.
oily substance.
Right.
And I got home and showed my wife. I did get the pictures when I was there, and
Hmm.
I tried to pull them, but nothing come up. And to me, to this day, I don't know what made them. And it's two
Right.
things. Two things kind of creep me out. Either one of these things was there back in my van. Look, it was like, or some weirdo was out just following me around.
Which is
And
creepy.
yeah, which is really
Yeah.
creepy. But to me, what it looks like is this thing put his hands on the window and like probably peered in through the back window.
Oh, yeah.
But it was not there. It was not there when I got my stuff out. It was there after I got back. And
Wow.
like I said, to this day, I'm not sure what made him,
Right.
but it was pretty unnerving at the time, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're there to find Bigfoot, right? We're there to
Right.
see something, get some evidence, and then when it does present itself to you, you're like, uh, not so sure about that because it kind of is creepy.
So let's talk now about let's go into your recent adventure where you
Oh,
so because I'm kind of envious, really. Well, early in your talk here, you said you got married in Ireland or Scotland. Which one was it?
Ireland.
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 I'm really envious of that because I've always wanted to go to both of those places,
Oh, it is so beautiful. I've been there 3 times now. It's amazing.
and I'm like, one of these days I'll go.
Yes, you need
Um,
to.
but you recently got to go to the UK.
I did.
You was invited to be a speaker at the UK.
I was.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh my gosh. First, the UK is amazingly beautiful, and the people are awesome. And I was asked, I don't even know why I was asked because I'm really nobody. I was asked to go over there and speak at the Cryptid Conference UK, and it was awesome. I think there might have been, I think there might have been 100, maybe 150 people at the venue, but for a small country,
Right.
that's really not. I mean, Daniel Barnett is blazing a trail
Mm,
for Bigfoot over there, and he's autistic, and he's 15 years old, and he spends time in the woods, which I think is amazing. Like I think every kid should be in the woods, but he
right.
found some footprints and tested some eDNA
Hmm.
and got some interesting results, which I will let him share
Yeah.
those when it's time. But yeah, so it was a lot of fun. I got to go. I spoke on Saturday
Hmm.
along with Brian King Sharp. We were both there from the United States, and we got to go out into the woods on Sunday. Daniel took us to where he found the footprint and got his eDNA, and we continued on into the woods. He showed me an actual bone pile where something has been killing, in that case, sheep, because they have a lot of sheep
Right.
there. Something has been killing the sheep and the bones. And the funny thing that I thought was that there were no teeth marks on any of these bones
Hmm.
that we picked up, and I physically picked them up and inspected them myself.
Right.
There were no teeth marks on any of these bones that we found, and we continued walking into the woods, and it was pretty cool because Daniel's been filming a documentary there, And oh, thank you. I love her. And they actually casted a print that they found several months before, but never went back to retrieve the cast.
Hmm.
That was pretty cool. While we were there, we retrieved the cast, and it was it kind of fell apart
Right.
because of the rain and everything, but it was pretty cool. And then we found some areas where it looks I called it the kitchen. I feel like I'm in nature's kitchen because there were several piles of different bones and fur,
Hmm.
and they were kind of nestled together in one area. And I was like, oh, I feel like I'm in the kitchen and not the. I think we've moved from the living room to the, where the action happens, and it was kind of weird because we did pass a field with sheep, and the field was surrounded by electric fence, and I don't think these sheep are leaving that field on their own accord. I think something is grabbing them and taking them, and so it was pretty interesting. It was pretty cool, and I got to hang out with Daniel Barnett, and his family were amazing, and it was very, very cool to be a part of that. So yeah, it was
That's
awesome.
that's awesome. I did see you selfieing up with a hubby at Stonehenge, and I was like,
I that was it was kind of overrated, really, Stonehenge, because they have an area where if you pay to
right,
go in, you can go, but you can't get close to the stones no matter what.
right,
But you can walk all the way around if you pay for it. But we didn't know you needed tickets. So there's also a free section where you
yeah,
can just walk down. You can only get see, part of it, but um, it was really funny because Mike and I both joked and laughed about the fact that it's just separated by you know,
yeah.
a short. It might be 4 feet tall. This rickety fence, and we were like, "You people paid $30 a person to be on the other side of the fence." Like, but it was pretty cool. Being a sensitive, I didn't. It was really hard to get any reads on any of the stones, like the energy that's in the area, because there were hundreds of people there. I
Right.
mean, they were bringing them in buses, and those people were paying $30 a person
Wow.
for
That's
busloads
cool.
of people. So it was just really hard to read any energy coming from there because there was just too many people.
I think I'll just go. I think it's in North Carolina. I'll just drive to North Carolina and go to Foam Hens.
I said, I'm going to come home. I'm going to get a bunch of rocks and I'm going to set them up in a circle in my yard and see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm
Is
going to
that?
charge. I'm going
Yeah.
to charge for it because it's,
Is that Is it Virginia or North Carolina? Have you ever heard of it? It's called Foam Hens, where they made a replica out of like these big foam
I've,
blocks.
I've not heard of that. There is a place, maybe an hour or so, um, northeast of me that has a setup kind of like Stonehenge, and I've been there, and it's pretty cool.
Let me look. Well, I'll let you answer a question here real quick because I think you just answered Danny's because he asked about did you experience any ghostly activity?
No.
Uh, Not so perfect Bigfoot show. What advice would you give to a new researchers in the field?
Oh my gosh, I would have to say probably. Oh, there's so much advice I would give. Um, I think the first thing I would say would be follow your gut and don't let anybody determine what your experience is, because you know, people are really good about sharing their experiences, and somebody else will be like, oh, that's not what happened, or you didn't experience that. Well, if you weren't there, you can't interpret somebody else's experiences. So
Yeah,
I would have to tell people, follow your gut because your gut tells you a lot, and never let somebody else do belittle or downgrade your experiences. Your experiences are yours, and the hell with anybody else. If they call you crazy, well, yeah, laugh at them, because sometimes when I hear things come out of my mouth, I think I sound crazy, but it's what happened. So
I agree with you. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry, it's in Fairfax County, Virginia,
Oh, nice. Now
and
that I know about it, I'm gonna have to go.
you might see it
Oh my
kind of
gosh.
yeah.
Oh, I gotta go there now.
I heard about it a long time ago, and I forgot about it until you just mentioned that.
Oh my gosh.
Um, sorry about that. Oh, there you go. I plugged my phone back in. It wanted me to
Oh
download
no.
pictures. Okay, the next question we have is Gwen is the creature in the UK along the lines of what they call the Green Man.
I'm not really sure because nobody's actually seen it.
Right.
And even after we left, a few days after we left, Daniel was out in the woods with he goes out with his grandmother, which I find
Yeah.
freaking awesome. And they actually found another print
Awesome.
that they lifted some eDNA from. So I don't know if that's even been sent off yet. It's been so close, but nobody's actually seen the Bigfoot that I'm aware of out there. So I don't know.
But they have other, you know, legends and stuff and cryptids.
They
I mean
do.
the black shuck, you know, or the beast of the moor, I think is what it's
I,
called. It's
somebody did
supposed
say something to me about that one, but I haven't looked it up yet.
it's like a supposedly a large cat that roams
Oh,
the moors of UK, and
nice.
yeah, there's even a video out where supposedly this thing is running, and and when you look at it, it looks. I mean, it's basically a black shadow, but you can tell if this thing is running. You can see the legs and stuff.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
it by its silhouette, it looks like an African lion, you know, with the mane and
Oh,
everything. So, but that's been one I've heard about for years.
hmm.
Uh, Octopus with no friends says seen many UFOs or aliens.
No, not over there.
How about here?
I had that dream I was telling you about was actually about aliens. We've seen some crazy lights here at the house, and I a couple times over my lifetime, you know, growing up as a kid or a teenager, I thought I saw something in the sky that didn't move like it was supposed to. But I actually had a dream a year. It was about a year ago that in my dream I was sleeping.
Oh,
So it's one of those weird dreams, and I dreamed that I was pregnant,
hmm,
which is physically impossible for me and has been for 20 plus years. But I dreamt I was pregnant, and in my dream I woke up and saw aliens standing around my bed. And in the morning when I woke up in my dream, I
hmm,
was no longer pregnant. So in real life, I wake up in the morning and I'm like sitting on the edge of my bed and I'm like, what the hell was that? Like,
yeah.
it was the weird, creepy, like, I don't know what that was. I don't,
You
I
want me
mean,
to tell you?
I've talked to some people who have said to me that I need to have maybe
Yeah,
a,
regression.
a regression
Yeah.
therapy and see if, yeah, there's, I guess, a possibility. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you about a dream I had when you said you was asleep in it, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. But you're talking about having a dream you were pregnant. I was at a small book signing, you know, little charity like event for a children's hospital. It was at a comic book store, but they was doing this little thing for the charity or for the children's hospital. And I'm sitting there and I talked to a few people, and this one young girl talked to me about some weird stuff she grew up around because she was Native American and heard stories, you know, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But then this other young lady came over with her husband, and I believe she had two kids, two little boy and little girl. And she says, "Do you believe in aliens?" I was like, "Yeah." I said, "I mean, I believe the possibility. I don't know if they're here, you know, or I know people see them, you know, supposedly see them, but to me, to say they're as big as the universe is for other life to be out, not be out there is kind of
Right.
ridiculous." She said, "Well, I'd like to share something with you, but that I've really not shared with anybody else." and I was like, "Okay, you know, go right ahead." She goes, "No, I don't want." She goes, "I don't want you to think I'm crazy." I'm like, "No, absolutely not. I mean, I've listened to many different things. You know, people told me." She goes, "Well, it all started with my mother." And I'm like, "Okay." She goes, "My mother told me a story years ago that when she was pregnant with me, she woke up and had gray aliens around her in her bedroom. They took her from her bedroom, took her to a ship, or okay, she didn't say ship. She assumed it was probably of another, but she ended up in in another place on this table, and they inserted this tube through her belly button, extracted the this she at this time her mother was only pregnant slightly, I guess. Supposedly extracted the fetus through this tube, which is this girl telling me this story, and done a couple things. Her mother said her mother said she could see what all this going on, couldn't move, and then basically put her back. I don't know if this is physically possible. That this is what she's telling me.
Oh my God.
And she looked at her mother. She goes, that's kind of impossible. She said that's when her mom showed her the marks on her, once she was older, showed her where they had done this. And then she proceeded to tell her that they later, after she had been born and her brother was born, her brother was a year or two younger, I'm trying to remember which, they were driving on a road in Arizona. There's my wife. They're driving on a road in Arizona, or like this, I think it might have been like Route 40 or whatever it is, but and this light, this bright light, she goes, I remember as a child seeing this bright light come over the car. And next thing we know, that she goes, that's the last thing I remember until we realized that we were on the opposite side of the road in the vehicle going the other way.
Oh my
And she
gosh.
goes, that's when her mom said that she had been visited or taken more than once. She believes she was taken more than once. And then she goes, now here's the weirdest part. And I'm like, it's weirder than that?
Yeah, right.
And she goes, yes. She goes, I think it happened to me as well. She goes, I had a dream that I was in my bedroom, was taken onto a whatever, and the same thing, basically had a tube in my belly. And she said, it didn't go as far as her mother. She didn't remember seeing anything, but she remembers there being a tube, or they were doing some kind of procedure on her belly button. At this point, she was pregnant. She said, the next thing I know, I'm back in my bedroom. And I'm like, really? And then she proceeded to pull her shirt up and show me these little marks that look like little tiny scars of incision around her belly button. And I'm like, are you serious? And she said,
Right.
yeah, I'm serious. I can't be any more serious. And I'm like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say, And she goes, I just, she goes, I just wanted to share it with you, and I'm, glad you listened. And that was it. She said, I'll, thanks a lot, and she went on her way. And
And
it
you're
just,
like, you're standing there like, what just happened?
yeah, I'm like, wow. And I'm dumbfounded, and I'm like, so I like immediately, I called a couple people that I knew and was telling them about it, and I was like, and they're just baffled by it, because they've never heard anything like that. And when you said you had that dream, and then I was like, and then you talked about that part, I'm like,
Yeah.
that gave me chills. But the dream that I had was a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago. I went to bed. I was in my bed, and and I wasn't pregnant. I'm sorry, I wasn't pregnant, but
Are you sure?
yeah, I'm sure. But I'm laying in bed, and I went, I had fallen asleep, and I started having this dream. I guess I would maybe say it's more like maybe it was like a out of body experience, maybe feeling type to it. But what it was is I was in my dream. I knew that I was aware. I was aware of the surroundings, and when I was outside, I was looking at a person that had this back toward me, talking to another person facing this other person. Well, in my awareness, I knew that both those people were me. One was an older me and one was a younger me. I could see the younger me facing us,
Oh my gosh.
but I'm behind the older one, up and above to the right, watching both of these people talking to each other. And then, and we're, like I said, we're outside, blue skies. I remember the blue skies, green. Everything was green and blue. The trees, and all of a sudden, I see these balls of light going around in the sky. We all noticed them. All or I, all, whatever you want to call it. The younger me turns. We all look in that direction. Well, these balls of light line up in a row in the sky, vertical row. They flash 3 times. Like blink, blink, and on the third one, it flashes bright, almost like a camera flash, a welder flash, or something like.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't see. Next thing I know, when I'm able to see again, I feel like I'm laying in the front seat of my car because it's reclined. I could see a window, a post, a window, a post, and like a window here in front of me. So to me, it just resembled being in a car. I don't know if I was, because I don't, like I told people, I don't remember seeing the dashboard or anything like that. I just remember
Right.
seeing those windows. And as I'm laying there, something moves in the window that's behind this post. And I see it coming around, and it comes up to the next window right beside me. And I look over, and that's when I see these hands, spindly hands, like freaky, touch the glass. And then this gray alien, the typical what you hear gray alien with the eyes, big black eyes and spit in his face, leans into the window, and I freak out. I like panic. Next thing I know, 3 times, flash, flash, boom, big flash. My eyes are covered, or whatever, whatever you call it, but I couldn't see, in that dream. So I immediately, once my sight come back, I wake up. I'm awake. I'm setting up. But here's the weird thing: I wasn't in my bed. I had somehow gotten from my bed to my living room in my recliner chair, and that's where I woke up. And I don't remember ever doing it. I don't remember getting up. Uh,
Oh my gosh.
did I sleepwalk during this dream? Possibly. Did I have a dream? Most likely. I don't know if I was abducted. I can't say I was, but I got to tell my friend of mine the other day. I was so convinced at the moment that thought I might have been abducted, that I went to my bathroom. I stripped naked, and I'm looking in the mirror, see if there's any marks on me,
Oh my gosh.
and I didn't find anything. But and that was 3 years ago, and I remember it like it was so vivid. Like I guess what's it called, lucid dreaming or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
It's so vivid that I still can't explain it to this day.
I think we should have regression therapy together.
I'm kind of afraid to be honest with you.
I almost don't want to know.
Yeah, I kind of don't either.
Like if you go to regression therapy and you find something out, then it's out there.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know, then you don't know. Right?
Right. Belinda wants to know. Here we go. Gwen, what's your favorite place to investigate? What is on your wish list to investigate?
My favorite place to investigate would have to be the Allegheny National Forest in the Kinzu area. I freaking love it there. I don't know what it is. It's addicting to go there. I've had some very crazy experiences there. And probably the place I want to go to more than anything in the whole world is to the Uwharrie National Forest in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I want to go there so bad. That's going to happen before this year is out because I got to get there. I want to go there so badly. Have
you been to the LBL?
No.
See, that's where I want to go. I was hoping to go sometime this year. I don't know if I'll make it, but I'm definitely going to try to do a trip next year.
Yeah,
I like it.
Place to go.
I like to get a small select group.
Yes.
To go. And if I do that, you're definitely one that I would like to come with me.
Sign me right up. I will totally take off work to go to that. That would be amazing.
Old Bear wants to know this right here, and we'll go ahead and talk about that because we'll get into that real quick before we jump off here.
I actually have. I'm a little nervous about. I'm nervous about the wood knocks and the the calls that people make, because I don't know what we're saying, right? So
Yeah.
I have used I have got Knocker's bat. I have used my bat in the woods, and we did get a blue orb that showed up out of nowhere. Now we're in state game lands.
Hmm.
There's nothing close. There's no houses. There's no road. There's nothing. And we got a blue orb that showed up out of nowhere. And it floated around very slowly, just kind of floating around between the trees. And then it disappeared. And I was like, do that again, like to see if it comes back. And we hit it again, and it did come back. It was over further from where we saw it initially, but it was the craziest. I don't know what I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's one of those
Right.
unexplainable things that you chalk up in your journal, and you think, okay, we're going to see if anybody else has had the same experience, and we're going to compare notes, and we're going to try to figure out what's going on, right? But
Right.
yeah, that was. I don't tree knock a lot because I, you know, am I putting out a mating call? Because that's like the
Right.
last thing I want to do, right? I do not want to come like the bride of Bigfoot.
Right.
Just not something on my list of things to do today or tomorrow, for that matter. But yeah,
What what's that old adage? It's all fun and games until Bigfoot comes out with a raging boner.
right. I care not to be on the receiving end of that. That'd be all right. Yeah, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Danny wants to know. I'm trying to see if there's any other ones. We'll get Danny here real quick. What are tools good to use as a beginner?
It's going to be the same thing for paranormal as it is for Bigfoot, because the piece of equipment that I have ever used the most, and I've used it in both avenues, has been my voice recorder.
Hmm.
I take my voice recorder everywhere. In fact, the you know what? I haven't even listened to that, actually, now that I think about it, because I just put it in my box and forgot about it. I actually put a voice recorder out, and there was one on the hood of my car when I got the Bigfoot handprint on the back of my car. I have not listened to that yet. I'm glad you brought that up, because I completely forgot I even had that. So I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
listen to that.
that's always been one of my one of my
Yeah.
favorite pieces of equipment. Even when I did paranormal stuff, I love audio, um,
Yes.
because to me, pictures, especially in paranormal stuff, unless it's something straight up undeniable, there's always some kind of, yeah, oh, it could be this or that.
Yes. Yeah. It's
When
fake.
you
It's AI. It's this.
yeah,
It's that. Yeah.
when you have good audio, and I'm not talking about manipulated, cleaned up, that you have to like, what'd that say? Or have somebody
Right.
tell you, well, listen to this is what it says, for you to hear it, is the best thing ever. I mean,
Absolutely.
I love EVP work, especially like when it's just what they call the class A, when it's like,
Absolutely.
you hear this word, or you hear this phrase. And I don't know, the folks that are in here tonight did hear it last weekend or last week, and I'll play it for you this Saturday. Remind me, but
Perfect.
I caught an EVP several years ago in an old. It just was the remnants, leftover parts of I don't know if it was part of the sawmill or part of one of the old coal mines, but just as beams and roof, and that's about it, and a concrete floor. Um, my son and I were in this building, or like I said, part or what was left of the building, and he asked, we were talking about what the building used to be, and he asked me, what it used to be, and I was like, no, I have no idea. Not that's one exact words I used to use, but I'm like, no, I have no idea. Right after I say that, you hear this I call it a little girl. I don't know, it may not be a little girl, but or child. We'll just say a child in a singy song type voice, I guess you say. And here's what's really cool: the EVP comes across with an echo.
Oh.
The building that we were in our voices, there's no echo. This voice comes across and goes, "Can you see me?" And it's just, to me, it's
Oh
right
my
to this
God.
day. To this day, it's one of the best EVPs I've ever caught,
I can't wait
and
to hear that. Oh my God, that's going to be amazing.
it's really,
I got chills.
yeah, it's right up there with the there's two of them that I find that are my favorite. It's that one and another one in the old cemetery. I'm like, you can say anything, we can hear you or something like that. And I get this voice that comes across, goes, I'd like to talk. And it's as clear as can
Oh,
be. Yeah. There is no background noise. There's no static. There's no cleaning
oh
up.
my
That's
gosh.
straight up what you hear.
That would be so amazing.
So we're talking, for those that don't know, we're, real quick, cause we're closing on an hour and a half. You have a company
I
and
do.
it's called what?
It's called Got Knockers.
There's, yep. Every 13-year-old boy just giggled right there.
It all started from that Bigfoot expedition I went on where I paid, several $100s for my birthday to go. One of the BFRO guys found this branch and he picked it up, he cut it in half, he debarked it. And, we were having a super good time. And I was like, when I get home, I'm going to make you something. And I went home. It was supposed to be like a, got knockers, got milk,
Right.
I made this t-shirt and I sent it to him and he emailed me and he's like, you have to trademark this. And I'm like, get the freak out of here. I'm not, like, that was supposed to be just a joke. And then I sat on it for about 6 months before I finally decided to do something with it. And I did trademark it and it's become, I trademarked it. It's a brand. So like I have knockers, of course, baseball bats, and I have, hats and t-shirts and cups and sweatshirts and earrings and like got knockering my way in through the Bigfoot world.
Absolutely.
But it's fine. We have a breast cancer t-shirt too, so and
That's
onesies.
awesome.
They always get a good laugh. The onesies for babies. They've got knockers on it. Pretty clever.
Yeah. And since you have a trademark, so folks don't try to steal it, or
No.
because she will come after you because she has done it already.
Just a few months ago, I got a picture from North Carolina of baseball bats on some guy's table with my logo on them. And I got a picture of the business card too, because I have friends, everywhere. And I'm so happy that my friend caught this because I tried to Google the business name and there was like 12 other companies across the United States with the exact same name. And the phone number on the business card did not match any of the phone numbers for the businesses. So I went to Facebook and said, hey, I posted these pictures and said, if anybody knows this guy, please tell him to stop. Like he's infringing on a trademark. And somebody saw it that he knows. And he commented that I was mean because I called him out on Facebook and I should be nicer to the next person. And that he's been selling these for a year and he's seen them at other conferences. And I nearly lost my shit. I was like, you saw me at other conferences because I go to conferences, in North Carolina and Pennsylvania and everywhere in between. Like you saw me selling them. And I kindly told him that when he spends $3,500 in 18 months of his life jumping through hoops for the government, he can then tell me that I don't have a right to be upset. Until then, stop selling them or I'm suing you. Because now that I know he sold them for a year, I could actually make him pay me for every one of them that he sold in the last year.
Right.
And restitution and my legal fees and the whole 9 yards. I thought I was being pretty nice, just saying, please stop selling them. And he told me to be nice to the next person.
Yeah.
Because they may not be so nice back. And I was like, no, the next person's going to get it worse because I'm just going to lose my shit.
Yeah, she has bats, buddy. Yeah, she's gonna go Tony Harding on your ass if you don't.
And I'm not afraid to use them.
Yeah.
Right.
So you go to a lot of conferences, you go to a lot of
do.
festivals, and you sell a lot of your stuff. But you also are a host. You also are a festival host, and that is coming up this weekend.
Saturday, 2 days. Oh my gosh.
You want to fill us in on that?
Oh, last year was the first year for the conference, and we had 28 vendors, and we had 5,000 people. Not by my count. Somebody else said 5,000 people. We had a radio station there. We had live music. Unfortunately, not a single food truck showed up. So that was our only
Hmm.
complaint. But this year, this is the second year, we have 90 plus vendors
Wow.
because I could not say no. The vendors that we had last year really spread the word, and people were calling me and messaging me and saying so and so was there, and they told me I need to be there. So I basically said yes to everyone. And we have 9 food trucks, and we have 90 plus vendors, and we have live music. The radio station's going to be there, and we're going to be doing a live recording of the podcast that I do with the radio station because it's Bigfoot Country
Hmm.
radio station. So we have Bigfoot the podcast, which has only had 4 episodes. So we'll be taping the 5th episode live from the venue. So I got told I can't go far from the radio station booth so they can grab me at will. And oh my gosh, it's going to be so much fun. If you can't find something that somebody's selling
Hmm.
that you're looking for at this conference, I don't know what to tell you because there's everything from cookies to t-shirts, hats, jewelry, 3D printed items, laser engraved things. It's going to be everything everywhere. So I'm
And
super nervous and super excited at the same time.
bubble or foam. What is it? Foam fun?
We're having, oh yeah, we're having a cryptid foam fight, which
Foam
the
fight.
local fire department, which we belong to, donated the use of their foam machine. And it's non-toxic, non-staining, it dries clear for the kids to just, yeah,
Awesome.
this sucker really sprays foam. So this is going to be a lot of fun. But we didn't
Awesome.
have it last year. So
You
yay.
can, and then you can jump from it to the. I've seen that you're having a water battle of some sort too, right?
Bigfoot water battle. Yeah. Where I painstakingly cut out with my own 2 hands 400 footprint shaped sponges that the kids we fill up buckets of water, and there's 4 different color sponges, so the kids get on teams and they just rail each other with sponges for a good half hour. It's going to be
Very
great.
so yeah. Come get foamed up and get rinsed down when on a hot day. You don't have to
Right?
take no you don't have to take a no shower at the motel later.
Yeah, you'll be all clean when you leave, I promise.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, Gwen, it's been fun. It's been a great time.
Yes,
Um,
as
I
always.
I really appreciate you coming on. I will see you Saturday.
Yes,
I wish
Celeste
I
is
wish I
sleeping there, so
yeah I wish I could make it up tomorrow, but by the time I get off work and everything, I'm not gonna be able to.
it's going to be
Well, let's put it this way: if I can get home, get a shower, and get stuff, I may try to hit out tomorrow and maybe camp and crash in the truck. But you're 4.5 hours away. If I leave early,
yeah.
I'll leave about 4, so I'll be up there about 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock, and yeah, I'm ready to hang out and have fun. And I'm kind of saddened that Bill can't make it because
I
Bill's one of
know
our good friends. But
he
Bill,
is.
please get better, buddy. But we understand. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
We'll see you
He
soon.
tried to tell me I'm still coming, and I said,
No, he
you
knows.
can't. No, you can't. Like it
No,
was like we had this conversation Sunday of last week. So like
yeah,
he was still up until Sunday going, I'm coming, and I'm like, Bill, like
yeah,
you have double pneumonia. You need to take
yeah,
care of yourself.
yeah.
Like so
You
next
stay
year
home.
he
Yeah,
can come next year. He's not coming this year because I said no.
yeah. I agree with old Bear. Everybody go buy a Got Knocker shirt. Gwen, is there a website they can come to?
Gotknockers.org
Sweet.
is a website. Yeah.
Old Bear says, awesome show. Awesome.
Oh,
Gwen, Danny says,
thank you.
night guys, another great show. Great show from Tony. Um, some of these folks I'm going to try to get, Tony, Belinda, Danny, somebody, I forget who else was in here last weekend. We're going to try to do a kind of a get together camp out, like some of you guys do up in Ohio and
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, because not too many of them happen here. We're going to try to do, Dave, that's who it was. We're going to try to do like a camp out in October. I think it's going to be the second right now it's looking like the second or third weekend of October. So
Okay.
we're going to get some friends together and just hang out and shoot the BS and talk Bigfoot and
See what happens.
yeah, see what happens. So, yep, I've had a great time. It's been fun.
Yes, me too. Thank you.
And I'll see you here in a couple minutes.
Yes, thank you.
All right. See ya. Well, folks, thank you all for coming. It's been an awesome show. I really enjoyed it. It's fun. Gwen's fun to talk to. Uh, love the energy she has. Like I said, and the work she does, is she's a hero in my eyes. So that being said, if you got something you want to talk about, if you have an experience you want to share, hit me up, West Virginia Case 304 at yahoo.com. We'll bring you on the show. You don't have to have a whole hour. If I find some folks that want to do like I guess you'd say, experience show where I can get 2 or 3 folks on and want to tell their stories and experiences one at a time, we'll do that. Or, if you got something you just want to talk about that you're into, if you're into Bigfoot, you're into, you talk about your research, or you want to talk about UFO research, you want to talk about your ghost hunting, hit me up. We'll do it. We'll get you on here. Looks like I'm booked up all this month, but I do have open dates next month. So yeah, West Virginia Case, WVCASE 304 at yahoo.com. Thank you all for coming. We'll see you next week.